Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
All right, next is the fitness course.
I'd like to ask Jared Muller, Parks and Recreation Director, to talk to you about the Parks and Recreation and the naming of the fitness course that is newly complete. Jared?
Hey, good evening. Good to see everybody. So yeah, fitness course, like Jamie said, is complete. I was actually thinking about it that I really should have waited about 4 days before submitting it to Jamie and Tricia, because instead of the little drawing, I could have actually taken a picture of the course, which looks fantastic. If you haven't gone over there to see it or walked on the Greenway, definitely take a look at it. Fortunately, it's kind of wrapped in caution tape. It's kind of like a shiny new Christmas present that you can't open right now. We still got to do some site work, kind of aesthetic work around it, but the actual course looks fantastic, and excited once the playground restrictions get lifted, because it falls under that category, to let the public use it. Here to talk about the potential naming proposal. Let's see here. All right, thanks to Tricia for pulling this up, because I wasn't sure what the county's policy was for naming any parks, facilities, buildings, anything like that. But essentially, any recommendations has to come to county commissioners ultimately for approval. This was a policy didn't find any audio files from back in 2013, but I did find an agenda memo that county manager at the time, Artie Wilson, had done right around the time, ironically, Rosman Community Park was either just had gotten built, and I guess they were looking for a name. Some of you probably remember that discussion more so than me, because I wasn't here at the time. But essentially, the guidelines, there's 3 guidelines. You could meet one of the 3 that essentially would make you qualified. Guideline A, you have kind of 4 guidelines under that. The Jameson's Joy Foundation, unfortunately, doesn't meet number 2 in guideline A, because they haven't been in the county for 20 years or more. They don't meet guideline B either, just not being an elected official or a public employee. Guideline C, properties, facilities, and parks owned, leased by the county may be named for individuals or groups who have made significant donations of land, money, or facilities to the county. Not sure, again, what the conversation was, if there was a specific monetary amount that was discussed at that meeting. Again, I hate it we didn't have audio files. Some of you may remember that, but looking at what they did donate and kind of the background for this. Back in November of 2019, you all approved the partnership, which helped meet our number 1 program need that was identified in our Park and Rec Master Plan, which was adult fitness and wellness. And essentially, Jameson's Joy Foundation donated partnered just over $75,000 towards the course, which comes out to 35% of just the course cost, whereas the county in our capital reserve account picked up the other 65% of that. One important thing to note about this request is that it's nothing financial. There's no money that's being requested. One of the great things about Bars Recreation, who's the local Burke Playground Equipment distributor in North and South Carolina, who installed the course for us, is put this in the proposal back in November, but they thought a lot of the project and a lot of the partnership, and the custom sign is free of charge, if that's something we do, as well as 2 benches as well. And then once it was approved by all of you in November, started having discussions with the family, as well as about what possibilities there could be to do something like that, as well as with the Parks and Recreation Commission, and kind of gauging what their thoughts were on it. And ultimately, the exact sign that all of you will see shortly went to them to kind of vet, talk about, and ultimately approve unanimously to be presented to all of you. Looking kind of at the actual sign design, really one of the first things we wanted to do is, and you'll see this in the first sentence, was to recognize the partnership between the county and the foundation. And then what we really wanted to do was highlight and honor Jameson as much as possible, and just really recognize what an outstanding young man that he was during his time on earth, and show what a lasting impact that he made, and how others can hopefully follow in his footsteps as well. And then also, focus points when looking at the sign was a lot of family involvement, predominantly family involvement. And then again, I kind of already mentioned the Parks and Recreation Commission, their involvement with looking at the rough drafts, and then ultimately approving it for your review and consideration. One of the really cool things that you'll see on the next slide when working with the sign company is the font for the title. When I was working with the lady who was doing the sign, she just said, "Do you have any of Jameson's old handwriting?" And I said, I'll talk to the family. And essentially, the font for the title of this sign that you'll see on the next slide essentially mimics his handwriting on it, which I just thought was a really special and a really neat touch for it. And then the proposed location for it is essentially, you go down the gravel lot like you're going to the fitness course, gravel parking lot right by the softball fields. It's in the grass area. It's not on the actual synthetic turf, but it's right at the start of the course, close to where the greenway is. So you'll see it right when you kind of get to the course if you're coming from the Parks and Rec side on the gravel lot. And then here is the proposed sign and naming for your consideration. I may read it if that's okay, just because it is small, and I don't know if the viewers at home, how well they can see it. But on November 12th, 2019, Transylvania County Board of Commissioners approved unanimously the funding proposal to partner with Jameson's Joy Foundation to bring this awesome course to Transylvania County. Jameson Adair Courtine was born on September 6, 2009 in Raleigh, North Carolina. Through his 9.5 years on Earth, Jameson was known for many things, including his stunning blue eyes, ever-present smile, a natural curiosity to learn anything and everything, and a stellar work ethic. In any room Jameson walked into, people smiled. He brought pure joy to the hearts of many with his smiles, giggles, sense of humor, and hard work. One of Jameson's best qualities was his heart. Jameson showed love openly and was a great friend to many. He was often the first one to meet new classmates and help them get adjusted to a new classroom. Jameson was oftentimes chosen by his teachers to mentor other students and friends, and he did so happily. He was friendly and outgoing and volunteered happily in many places, including church, nursing homes, and his community. Jameson passed away unexpectedly on February 27, 2019. His death left a large hole in his family and community. Jameson's joy took off immediately as one of his friends decided to perform random acts of kindness in Jameson's name, and hashtag Jameson's Joy quickly became a widespread random acts of kindness day in many communities. While on Earth, Jameson began a legacy that has already touched hundreds of people in a positive way. It is our hope to keep this legacy alive in Jameson's honor. Jameson's Joy hopes to inspire kindness around the world, connect parents and children through reading and intentional time together, and provide positive role models to youth. But I'll be happy to answer any questions on anything.
Commissioners, before questions, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the naming of the new fitness course to be in Jameson Courtine's honor, and approve the sign in the presentation that would be placed on the site at the course.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions for?
I think the issue of naming is always very challenging. And, I remember being on the board in the discussion of 2013. I think the parameters that we've put forward in the naming policy, to me, this does fit in item C. And giving 35% of the cost is pretty daggum significant, I think. So I'm very comfortable with the fact that this fits into our naming policy as adopted. I think if anything, commissioners, we could, go back later and look at defining significant at 25% or 30% potentially. I hate that it seems to come down to money, but given the story that we've just heard about him, as well as the financial contribution, I would say that we have reached the level of significance that's justifiable.
And I would agree with Ms. Romeo on everything she said just then. I'm sitting back remembering those discussions. I believe, if I remember right, we had some of those similar discussions about, do we want to have a dollar amount? Mm-hmm. But at that time, we felt that, no, we don't. Sometimes it is more than a dollar amount. And I think this is a perfect example of that. I appreciate the legacy this family has honored Jameson with, and how it'll continue to have an impact in the lives of Transmitting County citizens for many, many years. And just commend and can't imagine but how they can turn something so horrible into something so positive.
Right.
I just commend that family and all those, and I would encourage everyone, encouraged everyone to go to jamesonsjoy.org, and you can still contribute for various items. And they've never asked me to say that, but I will say that. I mean, that's just appreciate this family very much. Sorry.
And I might say, what a legacy. This young man and how he lived his life, and the example that his family has, they've contributed in his honor, is something that will impact young people for years. Young people will walk by that sign and will read that sign, and even those that don't know him will know of that contribution and will ask questions. I can't think of anything that's more important than honoring young people and setting that example for them for the future. How many young people will see that and become nurses or social workers or medical workers or teachers or on and on and on. So thank you for your motion, Paige, and your comments, Jason. I'm concerned about putting a percentage or a dollar amount on something. The value of person's life and how they live their life, whether young or old. I mean, quite honestly, there's people that I still talk about and look to today. And in fact, my high school principal, about the same age as my father, fell last night and broke his hip, and been thinking about him all day and how much he meant to me. I don't think I would be where I'm at without that. When I called my dad and said, "Dad, this happened last night," his comment was, "Well, he's too old to be out there walking around in the yard." And I said, "Well, Dad, he's younger than you. You're too old to be out there walking around with a lawnmower, etc." So, again, I'm touched by this and have been since I met the parents and we heard the story before.
Absolutely.
Thank you, David. Any other comments?
Just amazing, an honor that his family has done out of a tragic situation. I can't imagine having 4 children and 3 grandchildren. But, and then the negativity we're bombarded with nowadays is just a really shining light of positive that I just find it comforting.
Jared, thank you for all the work that you did on this and continue to do on this. And just briefly, because we've got a lot of other agenda items, but the
Drainage problem has been fixed there. We're all good to go on that.
Yeah, it actually looks great, and kudos to David McNeil and Chad Owenby and all maintenance and operations, as well as partnering with city staff too, some of their equipment. But actually, the ditch that was on the right side of the greenway closest to where the city's dog park is going to go had a huge, I don't know, probably 2 feet of water, it seems like, and all that's actually gone now. So it completely took that out, and now it's pretty much just bringing in some dirt that we already have, filling in some of the area that would be right in front of the course, grassing it, sodding it, whatever we're going to do, make it better. And then we still have to do some of the parking spaces, which we've already got done, but the actual course part and drainage works good.
All right, well, thank you for that. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
All right, next